You grow up in Culiacan, in a house where the walls are thin enough to hear every argument your parents have about money. Your father drives a delivery truck for a bakery, wakes up at 4 a.m. every day of his life and comes home smelling like flour and disappointment. Your mother cleans houses in the rich neighborhoods on the hill, 6 days a week, 2 buses each way. You learn the equation early. Hard work plus an entire life equals just enough to not die. You're 14 when your cousin Marco pulls up in a truck that didn't exist last month. New tires, new stereo, new everything. He's 19. He gives you 500 pesos just for carrying a backpack 3 blocks and leaving it at a hardware store. He doesn't tell you what's inside. You don't ask. 500 pesos is 3 weeks of your father's lunches. You spend it in one afternoon and feel like a completely different person. That's the hook. That's how it always starts. Not with a gun. All with 500 pesos and the feeling of being someone who matters. Marco introduces you to his cell leader, a man everyone calls El Chivo. He's 28 and looks 40. Scar across his jaw from a knife fight he won. He runs 3 blocks in the Tierra Blanca neighborhood for the organization. He doesn't recruit you with promises. He just says, Marco says you're smart. That's enough. You start as a halcon, a hawk. The entry position, your job is to watch. You stand on your corner for 12 hours with a prepaid phone and memorize every face, every vehicle, every pattern. Police patrol passes at 8:10 a.m. and 2:45 p.m. Same route, same timing. You send coded texts. X means police, M means military, C means clear. You get paid 3,000 pesos a week to stand on a corner. Your father makes 4,200 driving a truck for 60 hours. The math rewrites itself. You learn the structure fast because the structure keeps you alive. The organization isn't chaos. It's a corporation with worse HR policies. At the top is the plaza boss holding the territorial concession. Below him are cell leaders like El Chivo. Below them are soldiers. Then halcones at the bottom watching and waiting. The plaza itself is a franchise. The cartel grants you the right to operate in a specific geography. In exchange, you pay weekly tribute called derecho de piso, the floor right. You get their supply chain and their name. The name is worth more than the product. When the organization controls a plaza, rivals don't just face you, they face the entire network. The name is what makes a shopkeeper pay without negotiating. You're not selling drugs. You're selling the guarantee that nothing worse will happen. 6 months later, El Chivo moves you up. You become a puntero, managing a tiendita, a small shop that officially sells phone credit and chips. The back room holds the real inventory. Methamphetamine in Ziploc bags organized by gram weight. Fentanyl pills pressed to look like pharmaceuticals, each one counted and logged. You track every gram in and every peso out. You balance the books every night in a notebook you burn every Sunday and replace with a new one. You never write names, only codes. The tiendita moves 40,000 pesos a week. Your cut is 3,500. You're 17. El Chivo gets arrested on a Tuesday, weed in the glove compartment and a ghost gun under the seat. He leaves you 3 words before they take him. Run the block. But you're 18. You've just been promoted because everyone above you is either in prison, dead, or managing their own problems. This is how the cartel creates management. Not through performance reviews. Through vacancy. Running a cell is different from running a tiendita. You're now responsible for 8 people, 3 distribution points, and weekly tribute to the plaza boss. The tribute is non-negotiable, 280,000 pesos a month. If sales are down because supply was short, while you still pay 280,000. If someone stole from you, you still pay 280,000. The shortfall comes out of your cut. This is how the cartel installs financial discipline. The pain of shortage flows downward. The revenue flows upward, always. The cash itself becomes a problem you didn't anticipate. You can't deposit it. You can't spend it conspicuously. A 19-year-old in Tierra Blanca buying a new truck is a confession on wheels. You funnel it through a tianguis vendor on a market stall that sells electronics. The vendor declares inflated sales, pays taxes on money he didn't earn from customers who don't exist, and takes 12% for the service. You get clean pesos you can actually use. The other half you cycle through a taqueria 2 blocks from your mother's house. The owner has been with the organization for years. He inflates his customer count, pads his ingredient costs, and runs your cash through his register in small daily increments. Every Tuesday, he hands you an envelope with legitimized bills and a receipt that would survive a basic audit. You're 19 years old running a 3-node money laundering operation with no formal education beyond secondary secondary school. The irony is that if this skill set were legal, you'd have a career. You build 3 habits that keep you functioning. First, you never use your own product. You've seen what the clientele looks like after a year on fentanyl. Second, you keep a secondary phone that nobody from the organization knows about. One contact, your mother. You call her on Sundays and tell her you work in logistics for an import company. She's proud of you in the way mothers are proud when they desperately want to believe something. Third, you keep 180,000 pesos hidden under a loose tile in an abandoned courtyard 3 blocks away. Your exit fund. You don't call it that, but that's what it is. The paranoia arrives without announcing itself. Well, one morning you're eating breakfast and you realize you've been facing the door since you sat down. You didn't decide to do that. Your body made the decision before your brain caught up. You start checking the street before leaving any building. A car parked in the same spot for 2 days. A man who looks at his phone but isn't actually looking at his phone. Your brain has rewired itself to see threats and patterns. This isn't anxiety. This is the software update the job installs automatically. You know, the problem is it never turns off. You're sitting at your cousin's birthday dinner calculating which direction you'd run if someone came through the front door. Paranoia is just threat assessment with no off switch. You meet a girl named Daniela at a quinceañera 2 neighborhoods over. She studies accounting at the university. She asks what you do and you tell her logistics for a distribution company, which is technically true. For 3 months, she is the cleanest thing in your life. That you drive her to class in the morning. You eat dinner at her family's table. Her father asks careful questions and you give careful answers. She doesn't push too hard because she's from this city and she already knows which questions not to ask. That's how people survive in Culiacan. They maintain carefully constructed ignorance about the things they already half know. You end it before she finds out the actual version. You just become unavailable until she stops calling. Well, better a slow disappearance than watching someone you care about learn the full truth about you. You tell yourself this is protecting her. You're not completely wrong. The territorial war starts over something stupid. It always starts over something stupid. A shipment gets intercepted. The plaza boss decides it was the rival cell to your east. Whether it's true doesn't matter. Someone decided it's true, and decisions at that level don't get questioned. You coordinate movement. When you provide vehicles, you make sure certain streets are clear at certain times. You don't pull triggers. You manage the geography around the people who do. The legal distinction between this and murder is a technicality that would take a good lawyer 30 seconds to destroy. 2 rival soldiers end up in a drainage canal. 3 of your halcones disappear over the same week. One of them is 16. His name is Ernesto. He used to show you videos of his dog on his phone. You don't find out what happened to him. Some things you learn not to look for. The war lasts 6 weeks and ends the way these things end. A truce, a new boundary drawn 2 blocks east, and a mutual agreement to forget the accounting of the previous month and a half. Nobody wins territory wars. After the war, the plaza boss calls you in. His name is Arturo. He's 34 and looks like someone's uncle who fixes air conditioners. He tells you that you handled the recent situation well. He's expanding north and wants you to take over a second cell. Double the geography, double the tribute, double the cut. You say yes because saying no to an offer like this isn't actually one of your available options. You're 21. You manage 2 cells, 11 people, 6 distribution points, and a monthly cash flow of $40,000 US. You sleep with a pistol under your mattress. You own 3 phones on rotating schedules. You check your car for tracking devices every morning the way other people check their email. You haven't spoken to your father in 4 months because the last time you saw him, he looked at you in a way that said he already knew everything and was waiting for you to stop pretending otherwise. The arrest happens the way arrests at this level always happen, not through police work, through information sold by someone inside. A 17-year-old halcone 2 levels below you traded your location for a reduced charge on an unrelated case. The person who sold you was doing exactly what you did when you were 17, calculating the survival math and making the decision that cost someone else instead of him. You can't be angry about it. You would have made the same calculation. 4 federal vehicles on a Thursday morning. You put your hands on the table before they reach you. You think about the 180,000 pesos under the loose tile. You think about your mother and what she'll say when the logistics story stops being sustainable. They charge you with organized crime, drug trafficking, and possession with intent to distribute. Your lawyer gets the sentence down to 6 to 8 years. You're 21. You'll be 27 at minimum when you walk out. Your mother visits on a Wednesday. 2 hours by bus each way. She sits across from you behind scratched plexiglass and holds the phone receiver with both hands. She doesn't cry. She's too tired for tears. She says she knew. Not everything, but enough. She asks you one question. Well, was it worth it? You look at the concrete walls and the fluorescent lights and the men in the cells around you who all made the same calculation and arrived at the same destination. You don't answer. Because the true answer is more pathetic than yes or no. You got paid for being smart in a system that had no legal use for your intelligence. You felt like someone who mattered in a city designed to make people like you feel like nobody. You built something real and it collapsed the way everything in this business collapses, eventually, inevitably, on schedule. Somewhere on the corner where you used to stand, a kid is watching traffic and sending coded texts on a prepaid phone. He's got 500 pesos in his pocket that arrived this morning for carrying a backpack 3 blocks. He doesn't know what was inside. He didn't ask. He feels, for the first time in a long time, like someone who matters. That wraps it up. The story is fiction, but the plaza system is real. The tribute structure is real. The 17-year-old halcone on the corner is real. And somewhere in Sinaloa right now, someone is doing exactly this math and reaching the same conclusion. If this made you think, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. More deep dives coming. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next.